Hey YouTubers, TJ here. This is part 3 of my Gravely dog eater repair. What I did is I cut out 4 triangles on my homemade CNC plasma cutter, and what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to weld them onto the impeller fan setup so it has more support, because the blades were bent over. I guess, you know, whoever owned it before my father got it like 40 years ago, they must have bent the blades over or something. They hit something. The slip clutch probably wasn't working. I'm not really sure. But in my previous video, you could see how I straightened them out the best I could. This is a real quick tour of my homemade CNC plasma cutter. I built this from scratch. I bought the rail kit here. This is from PPLC with V-rails. They don't make this anymore. And also this gantry as well from PPLC. I wired it. I made all this other stuff for the cable management system. I used the Z-car from PPLC, but I made a magnetic breakaway. There's magnets behind here with bullnose fittings that fit into the plate, so it's perfectly 90 degrees, so it's straight to it's perpendicular to the material. So when it hit something, which it did, because this plate here kicked up and the torch came by and actually hit it, and what happened was it broke away, but it didn't actually pop off. It's just enough to kick the switch open. So when that switch opens up, it goes to my e-stop and it shuts everything down. This system I'm using is CNC. It's the Command CNC setup with Linux, however you pronounce it. What that allowed me to do is, when it did crash, I was able to go back to the previous M5, and you know, once I get my torch all set up, it still knows the height, because you zero it out on the plate when you start, so it knows even when you do crash, it knows where the top of the plate is. So what I did is I stop everything, I disable the torch, and I go back to the previous M5 and I run from line and fire up the torch, and then it continues. This process allows you to run from where you are, and also allows you to save material and time, because if you didn't, you'd have to start all over again and waste more material. But these are the cutouts. These are the triangles I did. These are 1/4 inch plate. I did notch them for the factory welds on the fan itself, and they're about, I don't know, 4 inches high by 3 inches. And here's the fan itself here. I straightened it out yesterday, excuse the mess. So these are probably going to be welded on probably right here. I'm not sure if it's on this side or the other side. I have to go on the internet and look at the late model. Well, I say late model, but it's probably from 1970 maybe. This, I believe, is from 1966. This dog eater snowblower. I think they're on this side. If they're not, they could be on the other side. No big deal. All I'm doing is welding these on for some support. I don't know if it's going to affect the snow throwing capabilities. I don't think it will, because the newer model ones from Gravely are actually come up to here and come down more like that as well. But I don't even come up that high. So again, I'm only coming up like, I don't know, 4 inches or so. But and I notched it right here to clear the factory welds on here. I have to grind all this up before I even attempt to weld this, because it's pretty much a mess here. I still have to straighten out the bottom plate here. It does have a wahoo in it, and I will do that. I'll put it on my aluminum plate I have, that I can clamp it down, heat it up and clamp it down, and try to get it as straight as possible. Here's my messy shop, real quick messy shop tour. Underneath the covers are my HTP 380 plasma cutter, which is probably almost 20 years, probably 20 years old, and I have a HTP MiG 240, which is 20 years old, and I have a Miller Dynasty 300DX machine from 2006, so it's still going strong. Here's my plasma cutter. Got a hydraulic tubing bender, a press, my sign, toolbox, Bridgeport lathe, small lathe. I want to get a bigger one as well. But it's a mess right now. I have behind me is a bunch of steel. You know, my skeletons are, and my sheet metal to perform plasma cutting. It took me about 3 years to build this machine. Due to time and funds, I built everything except, you know, the rail kit and the controller. I wired it. So when something goes wrong, I usually know, you know, if there's a problem with the wiring anywhere. I haven't had problems with wiring. I've had some problems with the torch height control. Sometimes it just doesn't register properly. I do have a separate ground here as well, a work lead clamped here as well. Some people don't do that. I built the water table here. I'm using a plasma quench system. This water table holds about 75 gallons. I've done 2 cleanouts on it already. It's due for a clean out again. I'm probably going to be making new slats as well, and I'm probably going to triangle the slats so there's less, you know, as the plasma cutter comes by, I do have these curved, it does whack it. So with triangular shaped pieces, it may prevent that, and they may last longer. But I've had this running for about a year, so they're really not that bad, and I've done quite a bit of cutting. I don't cut every day. You know, I'm getting into signage right now. I'm doing some signs for local businesses, and I do a lot of ornaments, especially personalized Christmas ornaments and Christmas signs as well. It does need to be cleaned. It is pretty dirty. I do wipe everything down when I'm done after each cut. I have a Hypertherm 85 that runs this, and I'm just trying to recoup my money that I have into it. This table has saved me considerable time in making parts and making stuff for people, and even on my own projects as well, like I'm doing right now. Probably to cut those triangles out by hand, I'd still be doing it. Probably take me over an hour or something to do to cut those out, like with a bandsaw, or, you know, even with a hand plasma cutter, then grind them and square them up, and it would just be a lot of work. I built this console right here that holds everything, this little cart. Here's where my controller is in here. I built this box from an AC air handler unit. My controller's in here from CNC, and my Hypertherm 85 plasma cutter's down there. I built this track control system that holds all the wires. A lot of people don't do it this way. They hang the torch wire because a lot of people feel that there's RFIs. I don't think I have an RFI problem. At least I haven't came across one. I have limit switches as well set up, so when the Z car comes by and I'm too close, it hits this limit switch and it goes into e-stop. And also I have limit switches that for the y-axis as well, that it comes to the end and hits this apparatus here and kills it. But I usually try to stay away from there. I keep my material towards the center or towards the back end a little bit because it does spray out quite a bit. Anyways, have any comments? I'll probably the next video will probably be welding these triangles onto the fan, and hopefully I do have a new bearing for it. I'm waiting for the seal, and I'll probably be assembling it as well. Again, I've never done this before with Gravely's. I've been contacting some people who are avid builders of Gravely stuff, the old stuff, and my father passed away last year, and he left a lot of stuff for me to take over. He had a Gravely that was parked outside his garage. I probably was there for 4 years outside. I went to start it yesterday, and after the third pull, it started right up, and I pulled it in my yard and took off the tiller that was on there, and I want to get the snowblower going on there. I do have a full-size plow, as I said in my previous videos, but I just want to kind of play and throw some snow and show my kid what old school snow blowers are like. So, haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and please comment. Thank you.